So here we are now at spring equinox in the great wheel of the year, the solar and cosmic calendar of our ancient ancestors. Our ancient, pre-Celtic ancestors understood that life necessarily alternated between different energy forces, polarities, night and day, darkness and light, winter and summer. They divided their year into two major basic phases, summer and winter. Summer was associated with the light and brightness, the Samos time, while winter was associated with darkness, the time of Giamos. Each phase had its own energy, activities and mode of being. All things begin in darkness, as our ancient ancestors clearly understood. Night preceded day, winter preceded summer, with night and day being a microcosm for the macrocosm of all life and creation. To them, Samos and Giamos were cosmic principles, existing not separately or independently from each other, but in a complementary duality, dividing both the day and the year. And it was this interplay and this interconnection between these two states that our ancient ancestors saw as essential to the continuum of the cycle of life on the land. And so they began the year at Samhain, or summer's end of October, which was really the beginning of winter. They counted the days from sundown to sundown, the months by the cycles of the moon, the year by the cycles of the sun, and so living in harmony with the natural rhythms of Mother Earth. And it was through using this understanding that they created their own calendar that reflected these changing cycles and seasons, and the cosmological events that gave rise to them. This was their great wheel of the year, the wheel of the sun. And in that calendar, there are 8 clear demarcation points, 4 quarter days and 4 cross quarter days. And what is the difference between quarter days and cross quarter days? Originally, they divided their year into 4 equal parts, called quarter days. These were the 2 solstices. In our dates, summer solstice 21st of June and winter solstice 21st December. And the 2 equinoxes. In our dates, spring equinox 21st of March and autumn equinox 21st of September. So these were the original 4 divisions that our ancient ancestors divided their year into. Their wheel of the year, their solar and cosmic calendar, the 2 solstices and the 2 equinoxes. And why did they do this? In order to grow crops, for example, they needed to develop some sort of calendar or clock to let them know when the time was right for them to sow their seeds. And in order to do that, they first needed to know the shortest day, the winter solstice, and the longest day, the summer solstice. And midway between these 2 points, there were 2 specific dates when night and day were equal, the spring equinox and the autumn equinox. Then they bisected these 4 quarter days further into 4 more parts. These were the cross quarter days, known as Samhain, Imbolc, Bealtaine and Lunasa, associated with the crop harvestings at various times of the year. And they celebrated each with a great fire festival. And to indicate the original 4 quarter days, the 2 solstices and the 2 equinoxes, they erected great structures in the landscape. Man-made passages covered with loose stones and contained within round circles of very large stones were created, where on specific days of the year, the 2 solstices, the 2 equinoxes, indicators of the changing seasons, Samhain, Imbolc, Bealtaine and Lunasa. At these times, the light of the rising or setting sun would enter the chambers through a narrow passage at the entrance of the structure. And these passage-chambered cairns are to be found all over Ireland. These were the earliest solar and cosmic calendar, all built for a specific purpose. The specific purpose of guiding our ancient ancestors through the cycle of their year. So here we are now at spring equinox, March 21st. An equinox is an astronomical event that indicates the shift of seasons. The equinoxes are so called simply because they mark those occasions in the cycle of the year when day and night are at the nearest to being equal in length, when there is the nearest to an equal amount of daylight and darkness in all latitudes. And there are two of these, spring equinox and autumn equinox. The word equinox itself is a combination of the Latin word equus, meaning equal, and nox, meaning night, hence equal night. Both of the equinoxes, the spring equinox 21st March and the autumn equinox 21st September, mark the first days of their respective seasons. At Lough Crew, Slieve na Collie in County Meath, in Cairn T, probably the most visited cairn in the entire Lough Crew complex, the rising sun on the occasion of spring and autumn equinox lights up the decorated stone, known as the Equinox Stone, at the back of the chamber, and facing directly towards the passage entrance. The narrow beam of light moves diagonally across the symbols carved on the stone, from the top left-hand corner to the bottom right-hand corner in about 40 minutes. The alignment of the equinox dawn sunrise within the chamber of Cairn T at Lough Crew and the massive spiritual energy that is generated by it symbolises indeed that Giamos is over and the mode of being of Samos has now begun. For our ancient ancestors, the goddess Boan personified this time of year. Boan, the great river goddess. The word Boan is Irish for white cow, and Bailliach na Bo is Irish for the Milky Way. And as the story goes, as the earth began the process of moving into solid form from molten rock, liquid and gas, Boan brought waters from the great Milky Way down to earth through her breasts. The earth was hard, dry and parched, and the milk that flowed from her breasts became the river Boyne. The surrounding area of the river Boyne is called Brú na Bóinne, and it is here we find the great megalithic cairns of Newgrange, Lough Crew, Noath and Douth, all built over 5,000 years ago. Legend has it that Boan had a secret love affair with Dagda, the god of the Tuatha Dé Danann, who sent Boan's husband, Nectan, off on a mission, conveniently leaving Boan free to join Dagda. Their love nest was the great giant womb-like cairn of Newgrange, and their clandestine meeting lasted 9 months, during which their son was conceived, Angus Og, the Irish god of love. The same Angus Og of William Butler Yeats's poem Wandering Angus. Yeats taking inspiration from much of his work from the myths and legends of Ireland with which he was so familiar. In the legend, Angus stirs out of his sleep one night due to a vision of an amazingly beautiful woman. He grows obsessed by her beauty and takes off on wandering Angus, hungering for her love. He discovers her at a lake where she has been changed by magic into a swan, but she changes shape again and disappears. And what is the lesson here for us? The lesson is that one can spend one's whole life searching for something, only to realise at the very end that what they were searching for was within themselves all along. The speaker in the poem has a fire in his head, symbolic of that which motivates him to begin his search. Though he spends his lifetime looking for the girl, he grows old with wandering, because every time he catches up with her, she vanishes again. And so on he goes, following her, searching for the silver apples of the moon, the golden apples of the sun, symbolic of that which is unattainable. But back to Boan herself again. The legend further has it that her son Angus grew up instantly and tricked his father into giving him the great cairn of Newgrange for his home. Like his mother, going after what he wanted, gaining what he most longed for. And this is the lesson Boan teaches us. To go after all that we desire in our life, we need to push beyond our comfort zone in order to grasp the opportunities we seek in life to achieve our dreams. Boan shows us that we need to be brave in the face of stumbling blocks and barricades. And as the story goes, Boann returned to her husband, who remained totally unaware of her adventure as she kept her story secret. However, soon after, she decided to receive the wisdom of the salmon of knowledge, the salmon being the symbol in ancient Ireland for wisdom, by drinking the water from Conla's well. Boann again defied convention here by approaching the sacred water, a preserve of male privilege, and walking around the well 3 times in an anti-clockwise direction, which in traditional healing was to open up and release the energy. The well swelled up, and Boann was swept away down towards the sea and drowned. Another version of the story has Boann peeping deep into the well, and the water was so fascinated by her beauty that it overflowed and became intertwined with Boyne to form the river Boyne. Remember, legends, fables and myths are all about teaching us lessons. And the story of Boann teaches us how to harness the power to bring about our own dreams. Boann did not adhere to the conventions of the time, and by stirring up the well of the salmon of knowledge, she released creativity and knowledge into the world. Abundant with power and energy, Boann cannot be contained. Known as the goddess of spiritual insight, fertility, poetic prose and knowledge, she has been and continues to be the inspiration for famous artists and poets. Boann is of the earth and of water. She is the Milky Way, beaming down on humanity, with her offering of abundant milk, the wisdom of the hazelnuts that fed the salmon of knowledge, the love of sexual pleasure and childbearing. She inspires us to remember the great goddess culture of our ancient pre-Celtic ancestors, and to access and discern between what is life-giving and life-enhancing, and what is stagnating, crippling and paralysing. The spring equinox, one of the 4 original divisions of the wheel of the year, marking a natural, astronomical, cosmic event, indicating how truly knowledgeable and technologically advanced our ancient ancestors were. We do indeed have a lot to learn. So, on this day, 21st of March, spring equinox, pause for a few moments and reflect on what it meant for our ancient ancestors and for us today. We acknowledge the balance and harmony in our world, the equal amount of daylight hours and the hours of darkness, and the balancing energy that is coming into us from the cosmos at this time. We give thanks for the days of darkness that are now behind us, as we cast behind us the bleakness of winter and the past. We understand that we need the darkness before we can have the light. Darkness must always precede light, and out of darkness, light will always come. It's part of our natural life cycle. All life comes from the dark womb of Mother Earth. There can be no other way. We look forward from now to the lengthening daylight hours and that which lies before us. As the life force continues to grow in length and strength, the sun is becoming warmer. And we know that the seeds sown deep in winter will blossom and create the crops that will be harvested in time. The spring equinox is a time of promise, a celebration of the return of spring and the growing light. And we light our own candle, symbolic of fertility and the light returning. We welcome and give thanks for the fresh, clear air and the lambs arriving with all other forms of new life. As the sap rises in all living things, the old is replaced with the new. We ask ourselves, to what aspect of this new life within us are we willing to commit ourselves? We are part of the sacred renewal of life. May the lands of earth, her forests, rivers, seas, and all creatures upon and in the earth be preserved and protected. May the earth be filled with love, harmony and joy. So it is, so it has been, and so it will be.